My name's Laura. I go by Laura or Kass or whatever you want to call me. That's who I am, yeah.
So I go by Neelufer, generally, unless you're one of my besties and then you call me whatever you want, however you feel like shortening my name. That's what you do. So I know some you guys call me Niels, and whatever else you feel like. But Neelufer is what people normally call me.
Sure. So I'm gonna where I am in the retail space. I am a retail fashion buyer. I think my whole career has just always been around the fashion industry. I studied fashion design, so naturally that's just what I went into.
So pretty much the same as Laura. I've always been in fashion, and I was a fashion buyer for many years. And I moved into a division called production and sourcing, or strategic sourcing at the time. And just very recently, I've ended up. So when I say recently, it's been about maybe 2.5 years or so, where I have been a project manager in the production and sourcing environment. And it's all got to do with fashion, retail, manufacturing, production, how we source our goods, where we source from. Things that are close to my heart are like the local sourcing landscape, the local industry, sustainability. Um, oh.
Oh. What am I proud of? I'm going to take it out of the, excuse me, out of the work context and being a woman and just, I'm proud of how courageous I am. I think I've done many things within my life that has shown me that sometimes fear holds us back. Moving continents away from your family, going into the unknown, persevering through difficulties. I think it's perseverance and courage. And I think for me, that's the most proud that I've been in myself, because I persevered through everything, through any hardship. And it's a continuous process, I think, pardon, that you will always go through hardship. And it's how do you persevere with that? Do you persevere through it with grace, with integrity, with humility, And for me, seeing who I was as a young 20-something-year-old girl and who I am today and the woman I've become, I am so proud that I've taken those courageous steps into the unknown and persevered through the hardships. And that's my continuous theme for my life, is just perseverance and to push through. So it wouldn't be a moment, but for me, it's almost an attribute that I've added to my character. Probably the last 3 to 4 years of my life has been really working on myself. What does that look like? It was definitely a level of where am I at? And I know we talk a lot about it and you hear a lot about it, but what does it mean to exist in the now as a human being who's going through life? So whether you're a mom, whether you're a daughter, you're a career woman, we tend to forget to exist in the now. And something that this lockdown and this almost scaling down of our lives has taught me is just, how am I going to exist in the now and appreciate what I have in front of me and actually just live in the moment? So a lot of people are like, I'm very casual about a lot of things, and we spoke about work and how passionate I am about it. However, my happiness and my contentment is just about this moment right now. In this moment, I'm grateful for the two of you, that I can just be here and just talking, you know what I mean? Talking with women who I've walked with and just grown with. So, yeah.
If I answer the question, I think for me, your questions that you posed are like they need a lot of soul searching, Solo and Bonolo, who have put the questions together. But I think I've realized I've got a lot to be proud of, but also it extends a little further, and every day I'm reminded a little more of things that I'm proud of that I don't necessarily understand or even maybe sometimes think about. So something that resonates is what Laura's saying, just being able to figure out who you are. And, I think we both a similar age, in our mid-30s now. Gosh, I never thought we'd get to mid-30s. So, being in your mid-30s and actually looking back at your journey and realizing that every single step has led you to this point. And whether you are happy or unhappy or satisfied or unsatisfied or working on yourself, there are moments and there are attributes and there are sort of instances that make you really proud of the space you're in right now. And when I look back at just if I remove family, friends, and all of that outside of the things I'm proud of, the way I've sort of carried myself over the last I don't know, 10 to 15 years of being in a career, making my path in this world, and trying to sort of set yourself apart from your colleagues and your friends and that type of thing, the lives that I've touched. So one thing that just stands out is, when you posted that message about me last week and you thanked me, and I thought about it, and that made me so proud and so happy. And I think those are the things that when you look back and you realize, the way you can impact someone's life over a period of time just by being a decent human being and by sort of giving someone the tools to do the job and the emotional support and the career support. When you really start to understand that you impact lives on a daily basis, whether it's through your product, whether it's through your personal and your professional interactions with people, by being your authentic self and by being true and being just and being honest, you can have such a positive impact on people's lives. I think when I reflect back on the things I'm most proud of, is just being able to be professional and being able to be a good person and treat people well, so that no matter where you end up in life or where they end up in life, you have always left a good impression. I think that helps the journey of who you are as a person and as a woman and as a career woman and a mom and a wife and a friend and a sister and all of those things that you sort of end up being. To answer your question, I'm proudest of the network and the relationships that I've formed over time by just being authentic.
Our success is measured by what we achieve at a certain period in our lives. And for me personally, my greatest piece was understanding that you cannot measure your success or your personal growth based on what society or the world expects you to be. All you can do to exist in this world is to be your authentic self. And what tends to happen is when you are your authentic self, you attract people who want that, who want truth, who want honesty, who want growth based on what you are within yourself. And because of that, it means you have to become comfortable that not everyone will like you. But when you understand that you don't need to fight or beg for people's approval, I think that's when the certain understanding of your authentic self is that that's okay. But what matters is, are you authentic to yourself? And that's something that I live by. And again, adding on to what Neelufer said, it's when we are women, one thing that we do is we need to uplift each other. The world isn't too kind to women, and the world isn't even kinder to women of color. How do we uplift one another? Uplifting doesn't mean that, I'm going to push you. It just means that I'm going to be there. That's what it's all about. It's about forming these relationships that will test the test of time. We're this body. We're a soul in a body. Our bodies are a temporary vessel that we with on this earth, and we will not last into it. And what the world has taught us, what media has taught us, is that there are certain levels or aspirational sections within your life that will determine the perfection of your body. We are so disconnected as a spirit, as a soul, to our body because we want to achieve a level of perfection that has been told to us by the world. How do I align my spirit and my soul to my body? And sometimes as women, we don't like the shell that we've been given, whether my boobs are too big, my bum's too small, I'm too round, For me personally on this journey of what this body means to me is that I will never, ever be able to accept who I am authentically if I cannot accept who I am right now. It's not the ideal place I want to be. Yes, I know that I could lose a little more weight. Yes, I would look better. But if I can't accept this body the way it is, I'm too tall. I've got really long legs, as you guys would know. I'm tall. I'm hella tall. I'm always towering over people. When I was younger, I hated that about myself. I hated that I was a darker complexion, a darker black. I hated that I had round cheeks. But this is who I am. This is a vessel that I was given, and I have to appreciate it at every given point, because when it gets to its level of societal perfection, if I could say, I'm not going to appreciate that because I didn't appreciate it when it wasn't perfect. So we hear it a lot, I'm imperfectly made, but a lot of people, what does that mean? I'm imperfectly made, body positivity. Body positivity doesn't mean I'm going to flaunt everything and I'm going to put a size 0 dress on my body. But body positivity for me is being comfortable at any given point. And it's about how do you translate that for yourself. So for you, it means that, okay, I can wear something a size 2 girl can wear. Then that's good. That's for you. That's what you understand. But for me, it's about being happy in this body now. Aligning. For me, it's about just aligning the mind and the soul to this vessel, which is this body that I've been given it, and treating it kind.
I think claiming your body when you're in your mid-30s, and something like I think we've always struggled with, especially like being in the fashion industry and growing up the way we did with all of these fashion magazines that we poured through and we still continue to pour through, and everything always looks better on a certain type of body, and everything looks in proportion, and I say that with air quotes, on certain types of bodies. And body differences have never really been celebrated, but I think in the last like 2 to 3 years it's kind of starting to change a little bit. But it's very difficult to like change your mindset. I think claiming your body is something I do struggle with, where you always feel you're either too thin, you're too fat, you're too short, you're too this, you're too that. And I've always sort of made myself feel better through the clothes I've worn, and continue to wear, where you kind of you dress a certain way so you feel a certain way, and in doing that you almost feel like you've claimed your body and you've claimed your life. But when you get to a certain age, you sort of start to kind of reflect on like, who are you? And I've started to realize that I neglect my body in every single way, with giving so much of myself over to my career and being a mom and a wife, etc. I always make excuses that there isn't time to take care of this vessel you've been given. And Laura's articulated it really well, where she says, it's a vessel. You are a soul living in a vessel, and in order to continue living your best life, you will need to take care of the vessel as well. And now that I've had 2 kids and I'm reaching 40, horror, it sounds awful, but reaching 40, I'm not like 20 in my 20s anymore, where your body just like kicks in if you haven't had enough sleep and you drink a cup of coffee and you can function just well. Starting to realize I have got to take a lot more care of this vessel, because I haven't been, and I've ignored all the signs of what, your body is not in its 20s anymore. So you've got to you actively have to go and exercise now, and you guys know I'm like so lazy to exercise, like really. I feel like I would rather be at work than exercise. Or but what I've realized is, if your body doesn't feel well, and you've got aches and pains, and you've got a bit of extra weight, and those are things that actually impact your mindset as well. So claiming your body is not always just accepting, oh, I'm this and I'm that, but it's deciding that, okay, you're comfortable with the way you are right now, and it's you're quite happy with the impact that your body has on the rest of you. Or are you why are you claiming your body? So I have honestly decided that I have to start taking better care of myself, deciding to take care of my body. I will claim it back, because I just feel like my body has changed so much and it's done so much, and it is an amazing thing. So those are the things that I think claiming my body means to me. It means like taking care of the vessel, strengthening it, and feeling well, like really feeling well. I enjoy that as a woman, you can actually do anything.
Yeah.
Absolutely anything. And there's nothing holding you back except yourself, and society and, cultural norms and things, but really learning that and accepting that you as a woman can do everything. Everything.
For me, might be just a tad bit, little bit vain, but I think for us, it's the fluidity and sensuality that comes with being a woman. I mean, it's just, it really is. I love that. I love that we can just get up and make ourselves look absolutely beautiful. I mean, like we go from 0 to 100 like every day. We wake up looking like trash and we go to bed looking amazing. I love that about being a woman. I love being a woman. Um, every part of it, the emotions, the highs and the lows, and the everything we go through as a woman is just amazing. And I don't think men could be able to do what we do. If a man could get a period every month, he would literally be dying. Mine
Oh,
is
this one, I feel like, no, I don't have an inner baddie anymore.
really ratch. I feel like I can conquer. I could do anything she says in the song. I promise you. Then I have to turn it off. I'm like, wow, look at you. Cardi B, just put on Cardi B, and then I'll be like, okay, that's a bad.
I don't have one anymore. Like I think I've lost that part of me. It might be there, but I haven't channeled it for like
She's dormant. You just need to just get
years. It's been too many years.
Oh. I'm gonna go and just say gender-based violence. I think it's especially in the South African context, it's a fear that we carry, and it's a fear on when will I be next? You know what I mean? We really try to do the best we can to be safe and to do what we can go through. But I remember just a few days ago, I was driving in Cape Town CBD, and it was Monday. It was Monday afternoon. And I was driving in the CBD, and there was a girl walking on the side of the street. But we just all like it's a public holiday, it's casual. And a taxi pulled up alongside her and tried to grab the stuff out of her hands and just like attack her. So mind you, this is broad daylight. It was 1 p.m. in the afternoon. She was walking home. She was actually literally outside her home because she went into her building. And taxis are things that are always on the road. I mean, it's not something that you're going to keep looking at and seeing, oh my goodness, there's a car by me that's going to attack me. However, witnessing that and seeing that she was vulnerable in that moment, she was walking alone, and those thugs chose that she would be their victim, in that I don't know when it's going to happen, when I'm at the mall, when I am going to work, when I'm outside my building, will it happen to me? And for me personally, that as a woman living in South Africa is a big fear of mine. It's a big concern. It's from a personal point of view, I can count so many women I know on a personal level who have been raped, who have been violated, who have been abused by their caretakers, or a partner. And this shouldn't be the narrative that South African women should have, or women in the world. That shouldn't be a narrative that I know this, or I went through this, or I went through that. And the thing is, the conversations are being had with us as women. We are having the conversation, but the problem doesn't start with that. We are not the ones that are causing each other this violence. The conversation needs to start with the men who are those perpetrators. What is going on with our men with men or our men or the men in the world, that they are not conversating. It's the man who doesn't do that should be conversating with his peers. I cannot, Neelufer is raising men and raising boys, I beg your pardon. I cannot tell a man how to behave. I cannot teach him that. I cannot tell him that what you are doing is wrong. Those conversations need to be had between men. Say, this is what we should tolerate. And the sad thing is that, you know, we heard a lot of things that were happening on social media last year of men who were like, oh no, they raped me. And a lot of people were like, oh no, he didn't do that. You might know the good side of a man, but if he could do that to somebody else and she had received that act as an act of violence towards herself, you need to believe her. So gender-based violence against women and children, for me, is the biggest thing facing us today, not in South African context more, but also just in the world. Yeah.
It just, like, where does it end? You know, where do you actually start to feel safe again? But coupled to that, so I'm not going to go into it because Laura's covered all of it. And I think for every woman in the world, that is exactly what is on our minds now. But, you know, as a mother, it also extends to the safety of your children, you know, not being able to take them to a shopping mall without strapping them to you and, you know, wearing all of these safety mechanisms so that they don't get snatched from your hands. Those are the added things that you're fearful of, not only in this country, but I'm sure in many other countries. And on top of that is the same things you face on a daily basis. You know, it's the inequalities and injustices that we as women face. In the workplace, it's all the narratives that are out there. You know, in like lower pay because you're a woman, but you do the same job, or, you know, not being taken seriously, or every time you raise a point or you say things that people don't like, oh, she must be on her period, or you know, she's just having a bad day, and just being called a bitch for any reason. I think those are the things that are over and above the gender-based violence. It's all the inequality. Can people not just be seen for the person and for the job you do and for what you are able to deliver and bring to the table? Why do we always have to bring in the person's gender or their race or their age or you know, the way they look? Why do those things always supersede the actual person and the job you're doing and what you are offering? So I think it's a lot of things, and this past few months, especially I think this lockdown period as well, has just highlighted a lot more of the challenges that women face. You know, I think I've seen during this period of time where a lot of people are also getting retrenched. You don't realize that a single mom has to take care of herself and her children. And when she loses her job, there's no one who's going to support and pay child support and take care of the mom and the children. So things are a lot harder. You know, men get away with a lot more. They're not held accountable. They don't have a sense of responsibility to their families and to anything. I mean, men just take care of themselves in a lot of instances. And what I see more often than not is that they are allowed to get away with it. Whereas if a woman abandoned her children and didn't bother to take care of them and left them with the dad and ran off, and didn't pay child support or didn't so much as visit or want to see her children, you know, society and would not accept things like that. So why is it acceptable for men to get away with things like that? Why is it acceptable for people to retrench women over men or to fire women over men? And, you know, at what point does it stop? At what point does it become that the person doing the job and the person bringing certain things to the table is actually just about the person and not about being female or being black or being white or being a certain age or whatever society wants you to be, when we just get taken seriously.
I love to celebrate women around me. Anything. If something is making you happy, I'm going to celebrate that with you. If you reach a milestone or a goal, I will celebrate that with you, because a victory for you is a victory for all of us.
So, I've got lots of communities of women, like family and friends. And I think what I've learned from them is that as a woman, you can be really strong and you can really do anything. And you can achieve anything if you are willing to do it and work hard. And there's like, whether it's from my grandmother to my mom to my aunts to cousins, friends, just in my community, they all have always pushed us to be everything and do everything, and to never say I can't do that. So you must go and study, and you must work, and you must cook, and you must take care of children, and you must have a business on the side, and you must also do everything, and also know how to clean the kitchen. I mean, how to fix the kitchen sink and change a tire. And I've learned that you are strong and you can do anything, from the women that are in just my immediate community. But then when it extends further to my social community, and like you guys, and people you meet along the way, I've also learned that as a woman you need to adapt, you need to often reflect, and you need to grow as your journey grows. And you need to really be true to being a woman, and to not compete with men on things that are trivial. Like, why do we always need to prove that, oh, I'm just because I'm a woman I can't do anything, or I can't do this, or I can't do that, but rather to focus your energy on bettering the people around you. There is nothing that stops you from being a woman. And like Laura said, dressing the way you dress and looking beautiful and feeling amazing and walking in and being a powerhouse in any form or facet of life. And I think it's empowering when you know that the only person holding you back sometimes is yourself. I have to answer this because it's been the one thing that I would tell my younger self is to not accept any BS. Like, just don't hold back. Don't bite your tongue. Don't say the things you need to say and do the things you need to do. And don't accept the injustices that you accept when you are young, and when you are in, like, especially when you're starting a career, when you don't fight for more of a paycheck, and you don't fight for a better portfolio, and you don't fight for better because you think, oh, let me just, we were kind of raised in a time where you just kept quiet and you bowed down to authority, and you just accepted that your superiors were going to do the best for you. Like, we were never really ever taught to challenge. And I think that's something I would now tell my younger self, is don't accept all of that. Like, don't be afraid. Like, what are you afraid of all the time? Stop being afraid to challenge and to stand up for yourself, and to just demand. And when I say demand, I mean demand it in obviously the right ways, but demand what is right for you and the people around you.
I'll tell my younger self everything will be okay. I think everything will work out right. Yeah, I think that's what I would tell myself. Yeah,
I'm yet to find in our field, women in leadership positions who actually uh, take other women along with them on the journey. I think all of the women that are in, or not all, but the majority of the women in, especially in our field, they got there by being hard, being that typical devil wears Prada type of stereotype. And in doing that, I think along the way, you sort of lose bits of yourself, In our field, as much as it's a fashion industry, it is run by men. And the few women who are in leadership positions are, sort of have been fighting tooth and nail to get to where they are. And it sort of hardened them in their journey. And I think we need to, as women in the fashion industry, we need to sort of stop accepting that narrative. And we need to demand that women are not marginalized, because if you look at, if I just take Edcon, for example, it is a company that's been led by men into the ground. And wherever a woman has tried and she's always been labeled a certain thing, and yet the people doing the work on the ground in the stores, and even at head office, are predominantly women. So in leadership, there's no reason why women should be overlooked for some of these positions.
Doing the exact same thing Neelufer did say. There's just not enough. There's not enough women, and it's true that when you do have women on top, they are hard. You have to walk in your exact same shoes. Is that just mentor me to get to where you need to be? Let me walk alongside you. So I think within our industry, that's the one thing that lacks. But I'm a believer of transformation. I think if these conversations start being had, and again, we support, and when we see a woman who is on top, let us just be kinder to her. Let us understand where she's coming from, so that she doesn't see every woman as a threat. And we're not a threat. We're just wanting to bounce off each other.
Honestly, bringing women on the journey along with us. When I just look at the two of you, like taking you along with my journey, or me along in your journeys. If I go from strength to strength, you go with me. Why leave you behind? And it all does come down to being threatened by each other, and it's preconceived notions of you want what I have, and that's got to fall away. You've got to be able to understand that everyone is on their own journey, and how do you grow? By bringing people along with you, and women especially along with you. You never know down the line where you meet and need the person, and when you take those people with you along your journey, you get to see them flourish and get to see them grow, and then they do that to the women in their circles, and to younger people coming in. So by constantly taking people with you on your journey, I think that's how you then bring people on board, and you carry them through, and you empower more women. And it doesn't matter who the person is, whether they are somebody you're mentoring, or somebody who works with you, or a friend, or a younger cousin, or a younger sibling. By actively being in those people's lives, and taking them along, you motivate and inspire, and help those people to grow in ways that you can't even imagine.
I'm a very visual person, and when I say, how do you offer a seat at a table for someone? And if we're all sitting at a table and we're eating a meal, the best way to offer a seat at a table is to offer somebody to eat off your plate. Would you like to have some? And as much as that's what you do, you know what I mean? The only way you offer helps get somebody to eat off your plate, and just. Oh, she's even on the floor.
Daniel!
Like copy paste.
Look at this wildness. Look at that.